Heartland fans, get ready for the most heartbreaking twist in the history of the show. Season 19 promises to change everything we thought we knew about the ranch, the family, and their future. But nothing will prepare you for the shocking turn where Tim Fleming's journey may reach its end. His story has been one of mistakes, redemption, and love, but now whispers of his final chapter bring a chilling sense of finality. Could this really be the season where Tim says his last goodbye? The story of Heartland has always been about family, resilience, and the bond that ties people to the land they call home. Season after season, we have seen the Fleming-Bartlett family endure struggles, losses, and triumphs. Yet they always found a way to hold on to each other. Season 19 is no exception, but this time the stakes are higher, and the emotions run deeper than ever before. At the center of this storm is Tim Fleming, a man whose life has been defined by conflict, redemption, and second chances. Now, the whispers of his possible death have fans shaken, and the ranch feels more fragile than ever. The trailer for Season 19 does not open with joy or celebration, but instead with a haunting quiet that stretches across the Heartland Ranch. The sweeping fields, once a place of comfort and hope, seem heavy with silence. Every corner of the ranch carries memories of the people who built it, loved it, and fought for it. And while Amy continues to push forward with her horses, and Lou juggles the weight of leadership, the looming shadow of loss threatens to undo everything they have worked so hard to protect. The tone is clear. This is not just another season. This is the beginning of a final chapter for one of the most important figures in Heartland's history. Tim has always been a complicated character. Fans have seen his flaws exposed time and again, from his struggles as a father to his battles with personal demons. Yet, in the end, he found a way to earn back the trust of his family, proving that redemption is possible even after years of mistakes. That is why his potential departure feels so devastating. This is not just about losing another character. This is about saying goodbye to a man who has been there from the very beginning, a man who brought depth, tension, and growth to the Heartland story. As the camera pans over the barn, the ranch house, and the open fields, it feels as if the land itself is bracing for what is to come. The family gathers in small moments, exchanging looks that hint at a heavy burden, one they are not ready to face. And then slowly the focus shifts to Tim. His eyes are filled with the weight of something unsaid, something final. The narration teases us with questions. What will happen to the Fleming family if Tim is gone? How will Amy, Lou, and Jack survive another loss after everything they have already endured? And most importantly, is this truly the end of Tim's story, or just the beginning of his lasting legacy? This opening moment sets the stage for what promises to be the most emotional season of Heartland yet. Fans will not just be watching a show, they will be saying goodbye to a chapter of their own lives. A chapter that is stretched across years of laughter, tears, and unforgettable memories. Season 19 is not holding back, and the first thing it demands is our hearts. Tim Fleming's story in Heartland has never been an easy one. From the very beginning, he was not the perfect father or the dependable man fans wanted him to be. His return to the ranch years after walking away from his family left scars that were not easily healed. Amy and Lou carried the pain of his absence, while Jack carried the disappointment of a man he once trusted. And yet, through all his mistakes and broken promises, Tim kept fighting for a second chance, even when it felt like he didn't deserve one. Over the seasons, audiences have watched Tim wrestle with his demons, his struggles with addiction, his hot temper, and his inability to communicate when it mattered most. But what made him unforgettable was not his flaws, but his determination to grow beyond them. He may have stumbled, but he always found a way to get back up, to make amends, and to show his daughters that he loved them in his own complicated way. That journey of brokenness and healing made Tim one of the most human characters Heartland has ever given us. His bond with Amy, especially, became a cornerstone of his redemption. Where once she looked at him with anger and distrust, over time she began to see the father who wanted to be better. He was there when she struggled through her darkest moments, standing by her even when words failed. That slow rebuilding of trust reminded fans that relationships are not defined by perfection, but by persistence. With Lou, their relationship was marked by clashes of will and personality. Yet underneath all the arguments lay a deep love that never disappeared. Even Jack, the man who once doubted Tim's ability to be a father, grew to respect him, not because Tim became flawless, but because he proved he was willing to fight for family. Through ranch work, rodeo moments, and family struggles, Tim found purpose again. His marriage to Jessica brought out a softer, more grounded side of him. He was no longer just the man chasing old glory at the rodeo or running away from responsibility. He was a husband, a father, a grandfather, and finally, a man who belonged. Fans saw his growth as proof that people can change, no matter how far gone they seem. And that is what makes the possibility of his death in season 19 so devastating. This is not just about losing a character. It is about losing years of growth, redemption, and storytelling that fans have held close to their hearts. Tim's presence in Heartland has always been complicated, but it has also been vital. Without him, the balance of the ranch shifts. Without him, the family loses not only a father and grandfather, but also a man who became living proof of what it means to keep fighting, even when the odds are stacked against you. The trailer hints at his quiet reflections, the way he looks at the ranch as if he knows his time is running out. Every smile feels tinged with sadness. Every word spoken carries extra weight. It is as though Tim himself knows that his chapter is nearing its final page, and he is ready to leave behind a legacy that the family will carry forever. His story has been one of brokenness turned into strength, of absence turned into presence, and of mistakes turned into forgiveness. Now, as season 19 unfolds, the question lingers. Will his journey end in tragedy, or will his spirit remain forever in the heartbeat of Heartland? Every season of Heartland has carried its share of challenges, but season 19 feels different from the very start. There's a heaviness in the air, a quiet warning that something irreversible is about to happen. The ranch, usually alive with energy and comfort, now feels like it's holding its breath. The laughter around the dinner table seems shorter. The moments of calm between the family seem fragile, like glass that could shatter at any second. And at the center of all this unease is Tim Fleming. Tim has always been the man who rushed headfirst into problems, whether it was his rodeo days, his business ventures, or his family struggles. But this season, the battles he faces are not just with the world around him. They're with time itself. The lines on his face carry years of hard living. His shoulders carry decades of regret, and his heart carries burdens that no man can outrun. The conflict is no longer just external, it is inside him, building like a storm that refuses to pass. The trailer teases us with fragments of his struggle, a hand gripping the side of a hospital bed, the sharp silence of a doctor's voice delivering news no one wants to hear. A quiet moment where Tim looks out across the ranch as if he's memorizing every detail. The horses grazing, the barn doors swinging, the fields glowing in the evening sun. These images speak louder than words, hinting that Tim is fighting a battle that might be too great to win. But this rising conflict doesn't just affect Tim. It pulls the entire family into its orbit. Amy feels the weight of holding the ranch together while sensing her father's growing fragility. Lou wrestles with her role as a leader, torn between her duties and her grief that she doesn't want to face. Even Jack, the rock of Heartland, shows signs of fear. The kind of fear that only comes when a man realizes he may lose someone he fought so hard to forgive and to love. The conflict extends beyond the family as well. The ranch itself becomes a silent witness to Tim's struggle. Every chore, every ride, every long day in the fields carries a new meaning, as if Tim knows he's running out of time to leave his mark. There's tension in the way he interacts with the land, urgency in the way he speaks to those around him, as though every word might be his last piece of advice, his last chance to prepare them for a future without him. The tension grows heavier with every scene, leaving fans to wonder, what is Tim hiding? Is it an illness he refuses to admit? Is it an accident waiting to happen? Or is it simply the reality that a man who has lived so many lives and fought so many battles may finally be reaching the end of his journey? The answers aren't given, only teased. But one truth becomes painfully clear. The conflict is building, and it is leading toward a breaking point that the Fleming family and the fans may not be ready to face. As the music rises in the trailer, the screen flashes between moments of love, anger, and silence, pulling us deeper into the storm that season 19 promises. The conflict is not just about one man's fate. It is about how a family prepares to say goodbye to someone they thought would always be there. And in that rising storm, Heartland prepares its audience for the most devastating loss it has ever faced. It happens in a moment so sudden, so unexpected, that it shakes the very foundation of Heartland. For years, Tim Fleming has been the man who fought his way through every storm, who faced down mistakes, pain, and regret with sheer willpower. But in season 19, the unthinkable happens. Tim faces a final battle he cannot outrun. The trailer doesn't give away every detail, but the fragments it shows are enough to break the silence and leave fans breathless. A scene of flashing lights on a quiet country road, the faint sound of horses in the distance, Jessica's voice calling his name into the night. Then silence, the kind of silence that says more than any words ever could. The screen fades to black, and when it returns, the family's faces tell the story we never wanted to hear. Tim is gone. The shocking turn is not presented as a single event, but as a wave that crashes over everyone he loved. Amy's tears falling quietly as she sits in the barn, clutching the bridle he left behind. Lou standing at the ranch house window, staring out as though expecting him to walk back through the door. And Jack, the man who once carried so much disappointment in Tim, now carrying the unbearable weight of losing him forever. Each of these images is seared into the trailer, not to exploit the pain, but to show the depth of what this death means to the family and to fans. This is not just another character death in a long-running show. This is the breaking of a pillar, the removal of someone whose flaws and triumphs defined Heartland for nearly 2 decades. Tim's death is not a small turn in the story. It is the story. It is the moment that will reshape every episode that follows, forcing every character to confront not just grief, but the legacy of the man they lost. The trailer builds this revelation with precision, allowing just enough to be seen to leave viewers in tears, but not enough to give away every detail. Did his death come after a long struggle with illness, hinted at in earlier scenes? Was it an accident? The cruel twist of fate that no one could have predicted? Or was it something else entirely, a moment of sacrifice that only Tim could have made? The questions are left unanswered, forcing the audience to hold their breath until the season reveals the truth. But one thing is certain. The man who fought so hard to redeem himself, the man who finally found love, peace, and a place in his family's hearts, has reached the end of his road. His story ends not with anger or regret, but with love, and with the family he once thought he had lost standing strong in his memory. This shocking turn is not just a plot twist, it is a farewell, and it leaves behind a promise that Heartland will never be the same again. When death enters Heartland, it doesn't just take one life, it ripples through every corner of the ranch, leaving silence where laughter used to be and shadows where light once shone. Tim Fleming's absence is not just noticed, it is felt in every breath, every word left unspoken, every chair left empty at the table. For the family, his death is more than grief. It is a test of strength, love, and survival. Amy, who once carried resentment for the father who abandoned her, now carries the unbearable ache of losing the man she had finally learned to trust. In the barn, surrounded by the horses that always brought her comfort, she sits with tears running quietly down her face. She remembers the advice he gave her, the way he stood by her during her hardest battles, the father who stumbled but always came back. For Amy, the grief is tangled with gratitude, because even though his time was cut short, she got to know the man he became, the father she always wished he would be. Lou, the daughter who clashed with Tim the most, feels the loss like a storm inside her. Her arguments with him were countless, her frustrations endless. Yet beneath it all, there was love she never admitted in full. Now, with Tim gone, she is left with the silence of unfinished conversations and the regret of not saying enough while she had the chance. Standing by the ranch house window, her reflection barely hiding the tears streaming down her face, she whispers words meant for a man who can no longer hear them. Lou's grief is heavy, because for her, Tim was not just her father. He was proof that people can change, and that families can heal no matter how broken they once were. Jack, who once doubted Tim more than anyone else, faces the kind of pain only a father figure can feel. He looks out over the ranch, remembering the countless arguments, the years of disappointment, but also the moments of reconciliation that healed their fractured bond. Losing Tim is not just losing a son-in-law, it is losing the man Jack saw grow from failure into redemption, from anger into love. The weight on Jack's shoulders grows heavier, because now he must hold the family together while carrying his own heartbreak in silence. Jessica, the woman who gave Tim peace in his later years, is perhaps the most shattered. She saw sides of Tim that no one else did, the laughter behind closed doors, the quiet moments of reflection, the softer man who let his guard down only with her. Her grief is raw, like a wound that refuses to close. She walks through the house they built together, each room echoing with memories that cut deeper than words. For Jessica, Tim's death is not just the end of a chapter. It is the tearing away of her heart. The emotional impact spreads beyond the family, too. Every person connected to Heartland feels the loss. The ranch hands, the community, the horses, all seem to reflect the absence of a man whose presence was larger than life. Heartland has endured tragedies before, but this loss leaves a hole that cannot be filled. It forces every character to face questions of legacy, forgiveness, and what it means to carry on when one of their own is gone. The trailer shows flashes of these moments. Amy's tears in the barn, Lou staring at the horizon, Jack's silent grief, Jessica clutching Tim's wedding ring. These images don't just tell us Tim is gone. They remind us that his absence will echo through every storyline, every relationship, and every decision the family makes moving forward. His death is not an ending. It is the beginning of a new struggle for the ones he left behind. For fans, this emotional impact is more than just part of a story. It is personal. Tim's flaws, his battles, and his redemption mirrored the struggles of real life, and his absence feels like losing someone who has been part of our lives for nearly 2 decades. His death does not just close a chapter. It leaves us all holding our breath, wondering how Heartland can ever move forward without him. A goodbye at Heartland is never simple. It is not just a funeral or a single moment. It is the gathering of memories, the weight of shared history, and the unspoken promise that love will carry on even when someone is gone. Tim Fleming's farewell is exactly that. A goodbye that is as much about honoring his life as it is about grieving his death. The trailer hints at this farewell with scenes that linger like a final breath. The family gathered in the golden light of evening, standing in the quiet fields where Tim spent so much of his life. Amy's hand trembling as she places one of his old rodeo buckles on the table. Lou reading a letter Tim left behind, her voice cracking as she tries to hold steady. Jessica holding the hat he wore every day, pressing it close to her chest as tears slip silently down her cheeks. And Jack standing tall despite the pain in his eyes, lifting his head to the sky as if speaking to a son he can no longer touch. The goodbye is not just for the family. It is for the land itself. The ranch that carried Tim's triumphs and failures becomes the setting for his final tribute. Horses stand quietly in the distance. The barn doors open as though waiting for him to return. The silence of the prairie feels heavier, almost sacred, as though Heartland itself is mourning. This is not just about saying farewell to a man. It is about recognizing that his spirit has become part of the very soil, the air, and the legacy of the ranch. For Amy, the farewell is personal in a way only she can understand. She remembers the anger she once felt, the years she thought she would never forgive him. Yet in this moment, all she can see is the father who tried, the man who stood by her when she needed him most. Her tears are not just grief, they are gratitude, because she finally saw the best version of Tim before losing him. Lou's goodbye is filled with regret, but also resolve. She promises him silently that she will continue leading the family, that she will protect the ranch the way he always wanted. Jack's farewell is the hardest. He does not speak much because he doesn't need to. His silence says everything. The years of disappointment, the moments of forgiveness, the pride he finally felt for the man Tim became. For Jack, this goodbye is more than losing a son-in-law. It is losing the proof that even the most broken men can be rebuilt. And for Jessica, this moment feels like her heart has been split in two. Her goodbye is whispered in the quiet of the night, where only the wind carries her words to the man who made her life whole again. The last goodbye is shown not through grand gestures, but through small ones. A family standing together in the field, a single hat placed on a fence post, a horse neighing into the empty sky. These images are quiet but powerful, the kind of moments that stay with viewers long after the screen fades to black. Tim's legacy is not his mistakes, nor even his redemption. His legacy is love, the imperfect, messy, but undeniable love he left behind. And as the family gathers for one last farewell, fans are left with the haunting realization that even though Tim is gone, Heartland will always carry his spirit. In the land, in the family, and in the memories of everyone who watched him grow, stumble, and rise again. This is not just the last goodbye for Tim Fleming. It is the last goodbye to an era of Heartland that will never return. Tim Fleming's story has always been about more than just one man. It was about mistakes, forgiveness, second chances, and the enduring power of family. Season 19 takes that journey and closes it with a final chapter no one was ready to read. His death shakes the very heart of Heartland, reminding us that even in a world built on love and resilience, loss can strike without mercy. Yet it also reminds us of something even greater, that the bonds of family, memory, and love never truly die. The trailer leaves us with a single, haunting question. Is this truly the end of Tim Fleming? Or is it the beginning of his legacy living on through the family he fought so hard to keep? The ranch will go on. The horses will still run free. Amy, Lou, Jack, and Jessica will carry his memory in every decision they make. But for fans, the ache will remain. Because losing Tim feels like losing a part of ourselves, a character who grew alongside us for nearly 2 decades. Heartland has always shown us that life does not stop when tragedy strikes. It continues in the lessons we pass on, in the love we share, and in the courage we find to keep moving forward. That is the message of Season 19. It is not just about Tim's death. It is about the family's fight to live on in his memory, to honor his journey, and to prove that love, no matter how flawed, always leaves a mark. And now the question is yours. How will the Fleming-Bartlett family rebuild without Tim? What will Heartland look like without the man who brought conflict, laughter, redemption, and love into every corner of the ranch? And more importantly, are fans ready to say goodbye? This season is not just another chapter. It is the chapter that defines the story. It is the last ride for Tim Fleming, and the moment that will leave Heartland forever changed. If you want to uncover more theories, breakdowns, and emotional moments from Heartland's final chapters, make sure to subscribe. The story isn't over. It's only just beginning for those who carry Tim's memory forward. Stay with us as we explore every reveal, every goodbye, and every twist of Heartland Season 19.